All right, diving in again with another deep dive. And today we are going to journey through Japan.
Through the heart of Japan.
Yeah, like right into the center
Absolutely.
and looking at everything that's happening, like tech and gaming and art and architecture, like the whole
Oh, the
thing.
whole spectrum.
Yeah, we've got some cool sources for this one.
Really fascinating mix.
And I think you'll be surprised by some of the connections that we make.
I think what's really cool about this particular batch is it's like the snapshot of Japan right now,
Yeah.
where you've got this blend of like super high technology and these really deep traditions.
It's like all happening at the same time.
It's a culture that just never stops evolving, which is, I think, why it's so captivating.
Exactly. And you know me, I love seeing how things that seem like they're in totally different worlds actually affect each other.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right in. One thing that I saw that I thought was really interesting was this article recommending the Galaxy F Fold 6 as the ID phone
Oh,
for
yeah.
Genshin Impact players.
If you're serious about your Genshin,
Yeah.
that's the phone to have.
Yeah.
Makes you realize just how demanding mobile gaming has gotten.
Totally?
These games like Genshin Impact are pushing the limits of what smartphones can even handle.
Oh, yeah. In terms of like,
Graphics processing power,
yeah, all of it.
the whole 9 yards.
It's like the line between a console game and a mobile game is
That's
getting.
blurring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's really speaking to how developers are making games for an audience that expects a really high quality experience,
Yeah.
even if they're playing on the go.
Yeah, and speaking of mobile gaming, there's a lot of buzz around this 6,000 best app games list, and in particular, two titles like Ash Echoes, which is this really immersive RPG narrative,
RPG.
story-driven. Yeah, and then FFBE Shadowbringers, which is tactical RPG, part of the Final Fantasy franchise.
Huge franchise.
Yeah, so I mean, both of those picks kind of show how diverse the Japanese mobile gaming market is.
Totally. And, Ash Echoes is very much about the story and the atmosphere and the feeling.
Yeah.
Where Shadowbringers is really leaning into this legacy of tactical gameplay, that Final Fantasy is known for.
It makes me wonder if there are any kind of underlying themes or trends that connect these games.
Yeah,
Like, is there something that speaks to what's happening in Japan right now?
that's a great question, and that's something we should kind of keep an eye on as we go through all these different sources.
Yeah, totally.
See if there's a common thread,
Yeah.
maybe a certain type of story or a look that's popular with Japanese gamers.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind.
Okay, so switching gears a little bit, we also have some info about festivals and events happening in Japan.
Okay, cool.
And one that stood out to me was the 17 Light Here festival. And what's really unique about it is it has a mikan theme.
A Mikan theme.
Yeah, which is tangerine, if you're not familiar with the word.
And I love that they chose tangerines as the theme.
I know, it's kind of out there.
It's quirky and it's
Yeah.
cool. And, in Japan, mikan are like a symbol of good luck and prosperity. Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're associated with winter celebrations, so I think it's a way for them to celebrate the season
Yeah.
and add some traditional elements to what is probably otherwise a modern event.
It's like weaving the culture into the event.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And on a completely different note, we've also got news about Kashiwa City celebrating its 70th anniversary.
70 years. Wow.
I know, that's a long time.
Huge milestone.
Yeah, and they're having a free viewing event for the Japan versus Indonesia soccer match.
Oh, cool. So they're really bringing the community together
Yeah, it's a big party.
to celebrate.
Yeah, and it just shows how much people love soccer in Japan.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a huge deal there.
Okay, so let's step into the Japanese art world now.
Okay, love it.
We've got some information on the Topkapi Palace and Ancient Egypt exhibition at the Sompo Museum of Art.
Interesting pairing.
Yeah, like what's the connection?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Topkapi Palace, which is all about Ottoman opulence,
Right.
and then Ancient Egypt, which is, mystery and history. So bringing them together in one exhibition creates this really interesting dialogue between civilizations.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like there's a broader trend of cultural exchange happening because we also have info on the Belle Epoque in Paris exhibit, which is traveling all over the world,
Oh, wow.
giving people a glimpse into this like really important period of art and culture in France.
It's really cool to see this interconnectedness in the art world. These exhibitions let people experience all these different historical periods and styles,
Yeah.
and it creates this sense of like global awareness and appreciation.
It's like art is this universal language that can transcend time and cultures.
Absolutely. And these exhibitions are like bridges connecting people
Yeah.
through these shared aesthetic experiences and in historical narratives.
Okay, I'm ready for a change of pace.
Yeah.
Let's talk about architecture.
Okay, let's do it.
We have an article spotlighting the work of William Merrill Voorhees.
William Merrill Voorhees.
Yeah, he was a big-time architect in Japan in the early 1900s.
Early 20th century, yeah.
And he's known for his work on the Omihachiman area's 100 years of active Western design architecture.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, he brought Western architectural styles to Japan, but he also used elements of traditional Japanese design.
Interesting.
So it's like this really cool hybrid.
Fusion of styles.
Yeah, and one of his most famous buildings is the Hyde Memorial Hall,
Mm-hmm.
which has this crazy asymmetrical design.
Why, symmetry.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, what inspired that choice?
Well, asymmetry in architecture can make things look more interesting and dynamic. It breaks away from that very formal, symmetrical look.
Right.
And it can kind of give a feeling of movement and energy.
Right.
So I think in the case of Voorhees' work, it might be him trying to combine those Western and Eastern ideas about design.
So it's like a reflection of what he was doing with the entire style.
Exactly, yeah. I think he was a true visionary ahead of his time.
Now, before we move on, I want to talk about something that's always relevant, health and lifestyle trends.
Always important.
We've got an article here comparing the benefits of green tea and coffee.
Oh, the eternal debate.
I know, right?
Which one is better?
Well, this article breaks it down really well.
Yeah.
So coffee, with its chlorogenic acid, is known for boosting your immune system.
All right.
And green tea, which is full of catechins, is really good for its antibacterial and antiviral effects.
Interesting.
And they also talk about how much you should drink each day.
Oh, so they give you a number.
They suggest 4 to 5 cups of coffee or 7 to 8 cups of green tea.
Wow, that's a lot of tea.
I know.
I'm a coffee drinker myself. I don't think I could handle that much tea.
It's fascinating to see how these drinks, which are so popular in Japan, are also recognized for their health benefits.
It's true. And, it just reminds us that even our everyday rituals can have a big impact on how we feel.
Yeah, totally. Okay, for our last stop on this part of our journey, we're going to focus on the Japanese music scene.
Okay, cool. Always love talking about music.
And we've got some interesting insights from the Oricon music charts, which track how popular songs and artists are in Japan.
Oh, yeah. The Oricon chart says they're like the Bible of Japanese music.
They tell you what's hot.
Yeah, they give us a glimpse into what Japanese listeners are loving.
Yeah, and what's cool is that we see both Japanese acts like Owa Super Express and international artists like Bruno Mars at the top.
Oh, yeah. Bruno Mars, he's a global superstar.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that Japanese audiences have really diverse tastes.
Yeah, and they're open to all these different sounds and styles.
It's really cool, and it's a testament to how music can transcend borders.
Yeah, it's like music can break down those barriers
For sure.
and bring people together no matter what language they speak or where they come from.
It's a powerful force.
It really is. And speaking of connections, I think it's really interesting how this theme of global influence and cultural exchange keep coming up in our sources.
Yeah, it's like a thread running through everything.
Totally. It's like a thread that connects all these different parts of Japanese culture. The architecture, even the popularity of K-pop.
It really highlights how cultures aren't isolated. They're constantly influencing each other, evolving in response to those exchanges.
It's like this dynamic dance between holding on to tradition and embracing new ideas.
Absolutely.
And Japan seems to be doing both really well.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fascinating to explore.
Okay, so I want to go back to something we talked about earlier. Remember how that article about mobile gaming mentioned that the Galaxy F Fold 6 is perfect for playing Genshin Impact?
Oh, yeah, that foldable phone.
Yeah, it's a great example of how technology is adapting
Mm-hmm.
to keep up with how we entertain ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, the rise of mobile gaming has really forced companies to create phones with way better processors and screens.
It's like they're making these mini entertainment systems that fit in your pocket.
I know. It's crazy.
And it's not just gaming, it's how we listen to music, how we experience art, even how we get our news.
Everything is mobile now.
Yeah, everything is connected.
It's really changed how we access information and entertainment.
Totally. You can experience so much culture and content right on your phone, no matter where you are.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, I also wanted to bring up this detail from the architecture article that really stuck with me. It mentioned that the Hyde Memorial Hall, the one designed by William Merrill Voorhees, was used as a kindergarten until just last year.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I know, it's so cool.
It just goes to show you how adaptable good design is.
Yeah.
Something built almost 100 years ago can still be useful today.
It makes me think about all the kids who went there,
Yeah.
learning and playing, making memories in that building.
It's like the building itself has witnessed so much history.
Yeah, it shows you how deeply architecture and human experience are connected.
Absolutely. Buildings are more than just structures. They're spaces where life happens and memories are made and culture is passed down.
Beautifully said. Okay, now I want to shift gears one last time and bring up something that's been on my mind as we've been talking about all these different aspects of Japanese culture.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
We talked about how the Sampo Museum of Art is having exhibitions on both Topkapi Palace and Ancient Egypt and the Belle Époque in Paris.
Yeah, two very different exhibitions.
Yeah, and it's cool how they're offering these glimpses into different cultures and historical periods.
Yeah, all in the same space.
Yeah, and I think it
They-
shows that they want to connect with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Learn from other traditions and broaden our understanding of art and history.
It's like they're creating a space for dialogue
Yeah,
where different cultures and artistic expressions can come together.
and to me, it really highlights how powerful art is as a universal language.
Yeah.
Whether it's a painting from the Belle Époque or an artifact from ancient Egypt, art has this ability to transcend time and culture
I agree.
and connect us through these shared human experiences.
Absolutely. Art is a bridge between different worlds. It sparks curiosity, it fosters empathy, and it encourages us to see the world through different lenses.
And in a world that's becoming more and more interconnected,
Yeah,
that kind of cultural exchange is so important.
couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are your main takeaways?
Okay, well, I think the biggest takeaway is just how dynamic Japanese culture is.
Yeah,
We've seen how it embraces tradition and innovation, and it's always evolving through this mix of local and global influences.
yeah, and within that dynamic landscape, there are so many opportunities for discovery and connection and inspiration.
Totally.
So we've taken this whirlwind tour through all these different facets of Japanese culture.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, from cutting-edge tech to ancient art.
And through it all, we've seen this incredible openness,
Yeah.
a willingness to embrace the new while still honoring the old.
It reminds us that cultures aren't static.
No, they're living, breathing things.
Yeah, and they're constantly changing and adapting.
Exactly. And by engaging with different cultures, by being open to new experiences and perspectives,
Yeah,
we can really enrich our own understanding of the world.
that's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just about learning facts. It's about sparking curiosity, making connections, expanding our horizons.
It's about cultivating that sense of wonder and appreciation
Yeah,
for all the amazing things that humans do.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of wonder and appreciation, I want to leave you with one final thought, a question inspired by everything we've talked about today.
Okay, hit me.
We discussed how Western design influenced Japanese architecture in the early 1900s, shaping buildings like the Hyde Memorial Hall. But what other cultural exchanges are shaping Japan's artistic landscape today?
Wow, that's a great question.
It makes us think beyond what we see on the surface
Yeah.
and consider all the subtle ways cultures influence and inspire each other.
It could be the influence of K-pop on J-pop,
Yeah.
the impact of anime and manga on global storytelling, even the way Japanese food is being reinterpreted by chefs all over the world.
The possibilities are endless.
Exactly, and that's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah, by being curious, by keeping our minds open to new ideas and influences,
Yeah.
we can keep discovering those hidden connections.
The things that make our world so fascinating.
So to our listeners, we leave you with that challenge to explore, to discover, and to keep asking questions.
The journey of learning never ends.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. It shows how global music really is and how Japanese audiences are really open to different sounds and styles.
Yeah, and it just shows how popular artists like Bruno Mars are. They just connect with people everywhere.
It's true. His music just resonates across cultures.
Yeah, and it's not just established artists making an impact. We also have news about the K-pop group, Street Kids. They made a surprise appearance in Shibuya.
Oh, wow.
The fans went crazy.
That's the power of K-pop. It's huge in Japan right now.
Yeah, and it just shows how music can connect people across borders.
Absolutely. It creates this shared excitement.
Yeah, it's like music has this ability to break down barriers, bring people together.
No matter what language you speak or where you come from.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Really is. And speaking of connections, I think it's fascinating how this theme of global influence and cultural exchange keeps popping up
Yeah, like everywhere.
in all of our sources.
It's like a thread that connects everything we've been talking about.
It runs through all these different aspects of Japanese culture, like the art exhibitions, the architecture, even the popularity of K-pop.
Yeah, it makes you realize that cultures aren't isolated. They're always interacting,
Yeah, influencing each other.
evolving
Yeah.
in response to these exchanges.
It's like this dynamic dance between tradition and innovation.
Japan is holding on to its cultural heritage, but also embracing new ideas and influences from all over the world.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes it so fascinating to explore.
It's a culture that's both deeply rooted and constantly changing, which makes it truly unique. Okay, so I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. Remember that article about mobile gaming that mentioned the Galaxy F Fold 6 being ideal for playing Genshin Impact?
Oh yeah, that foldable phone.
Yeah, it's a great example of how technology is adapting to meet the demands of how we entertain ourselves.
Totally. The rise of mobile gaming has pushed smartphone makers to create devices with incredibly powerful processors and high-resolution displays.
Yeah, it's like they're creating these mini entertainment hubs that fit in your pocket.
And it's not just limited to gaming.
Yeah,
Think about how we consume music, art, even news. It's all becoming increasingly mobile and interconnected.
yeah, it's mind-blowing when you think about
It
it.
really is.
Okay, I also wanted to bring up a detail from the architecture article that really stuck with me. It mentioned that the Hyde Memorial Hall, the one designed by William Merrill Voorhees, was actually used as a kindergarten until 2023.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know, isn't that cool?
It speaks to the adaptability and longevity of good design. A building designed almost a century ago can still serve a valuable purpose today.
It makes me wonder about all the children who spent their early years within those walls, learning, playing, creating memories.
It highlights the profound connection between architecture and human experience. Buildings aren't just static structures, they're spaces where life unfolds, memories are made, and culture is passed down.
Beautifully said. And I want to shift gears one last time and bring up a thought that's been swirling in my head as we've been talking about all these different aspects of Japanese culture. We've seen how the Sampo Museum of Art is hosting exhibitions on both Topkapi Palace in ancient Egypt and the Belle Époque in Paris.
It's fascinating how they offer glimpses into different cultures and historical periods, all within the same museum.
And to me, it highlights the power of art as this universal language, whether it's a painting from the Belle Époque or an artifact from ancient Egypt. Art has this incredible ability to transcend time and cultural boundaries, connecting us through shared human experiences.
Absolutely. Art acts as a bridge between different worlds, sparking curiosity, fostering empathy, encouraging us to see the world through different lenses.
And in a world that's increasingly interconnected, this kind of cultural exchange is more important than ever.
I couldn't agree more.
So, as we approach the end of our deep dive, what are your key takeaways? What's the one thing you hope our listeners are pondering right now?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me is just the sheer dynamism of Japanese culture. Like, we've seen how it embraces tradition and innovation, and it's constantly evolving
Yeah.
through this really interesting interplay of like local and global influences.
It's like we've taken this whirlwind tour through like a kaleidoscope of Japanese culture.
It has been a whirlwind tour.
Yeah, from like the cutting edge of technology to the timeless beauty of ancient art. And through it all,
Yeah.
we've seen this incredible spirit of openness, like a willingness to embrace the new
Right?
while still honoring the old.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that. And it reminds us that cultures aren't static. They're
Well,
living, breathing things.
Yeah, constantly evolving and adapting.
Exactly. And by engaging with different cultures, by
Yeah.
being open to new experiences and perspectives.
We can really enrich our own understanding of the world,
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just about learning facts and figures.
right?
It's about sparking curiosity,
Absolute.
making connections, expanding our horizons.
It's about cultivating a sense of wonder and appreciation
Yeah.
for the richness and diversity of human experience.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of wonder and appreciation, I want to leave you with one final thought,
Okay,
a question inspired by everything we've explored today.
hit me.
We talked about how Western design influenced Japanese architecture in the early 1900s, shaping buildings like the Hyde Memorial Hall. But what other cultural exchanges might be shaping Japan's artistic landscape today?
That's a fantastic question. It encourages us to look beyond the surface,
Right.
to consider the subtle ways in which cultures influence and inspire one another.
Exactly. It could be the influence of K-pop on J-pop,
Yeah.
the impact of anime and manga on global
Oh,
storytelling,
for sure. Or even the way Japanese culinary traditions are being reinterpreted by chefs all over the world.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. So, to our listeners, we leave you with that challenge to explore, to discover, and to keep asking questions.
Because in a world as vibrant and interconnected as ours,
Yeah.
the journey of learning never truly ends.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.